far away, deep into the country.
Hello, Homemaker members. Thank you so much for being a member and supporting this channel. Since it's December, today I thought I would share one of our family's favorite holiday recipes, as well as my favorite cranberry sauce recipe and a trick for mashed potatoes that I learned years ago that makes the most creamy, delectable mashed potatoes you can imagine. You know, you guys, this is the first year in a long time where I feel like I can do these holidays with a little bit more flair. For the last few years, I want to say, I have just been feeling like I'm in a little bit of survival mode with my family size and the ages of my children and homeschooling. But I think we're finally getting to a phase where it's starting to get slightly easier because the kids are a little bit older and I don't have little babies in the mix anymore. What a difference it makes when your kids are over too. So this is my table setting this year, and this is probably my favorite tablescape that I have ever done. I am not very good at these, but I've always wanted to be, and this year I feel like I really nailed it. What do you guys think? For the first recipe, we're going to make some Greek spanakopita. I have spinach here. This is from our garden. Oh, I just am so excited to use this. This is the first time I've used our spring spinach that I preserved last early spring. We're going to start with 2 cups of spinach. These bags of spinach have thawed, and there's a cup in each bag. I'm going to do 2 eggs. I'm going to do at least a clove of garlic, but you can do more. You can do probably up to 3 or 5. I mean, there's no rules with the garlic, right? I do just a pinch of salt, and I only do a pinch of salt because I use Parmesan cheese in this. I use about 1 cup of Parmesan cheese. You can do grated Parmesan cheese, or you can do like the Parmesan cheese powder, and then the feta. We can't forget the feta. I do a cup of feta. Now at this point, there are other things that you can add. You can add a cup of shredded up, very finely shredded chicken, or finely cooked and like minced up sausage. Both are wonderful. Sausage is definitely one of our favorites in this, but you can leave all the meat out if you prefer. I will link to these knives in the description box below for you. You want about 2 cups of onion, and you want it to be fairly finely minced. It doesn't have to be super fine. And then we're just gonna saute this onion up. I'm gonna saute it in some olive oil. While those onions are sauteing, we're gonna mix up all of our ingredients. And once the onions have cooled just a little bit, we're gonna add them to the mixture and stir it some more. You don't wanna put these really hot onions in, since there is egg in this. You don't want it to start cooking before you get it assembled. Speaking of assembly, here we go. This is the tricky part, and this is the part that scares off a lot of people when it comes to working with phyllo dough. Phyllo dries out really quickly. So you have to either work fast with it, or you have to take your phyllo, lay it flat, and cover it with plastic wrap and then a towel that is maybe barely damp. You do not want the damp towel to touch the phyllo though, or it will ruin all of the sheets. So you got to be careful that the damp towel does not actually touch the phyllo. You also want to be careful not to get any water near this phyllo. Just a few drops will make it start sticking together and you won't be able to get it apart. So you have to be kind of careful working with this stuff. It's seriously kind of like paper, like really thin paper, flexible at this point, but if it starts to dry out, it becomes crackly paper and it starts cracking and you can't really work with it. I have my big wide paintbrush here. I used to use the little small pastry brushes, but they just made this job take longer. And again, when you're working with phyllo, you want to work fast. So I saw this at a chef's store and I immediately knew exactly what I wanted to use that pastry brush for. So I bought one. We're going to layer about 10 pieces of phyllo down. I'm making 2 dishes here. If you guys have been following me, you know I like to make 2 of everything at a time, one for the evening's dinner and then one for the upcoming event or for later down the road. So we're going to grease these dishes and then we're going to layer 10 sheets of phyllo. Between each sheet, you want to put a thin coat of butter. I have done half butter and half olive oil in times past. It is not quite as good, but it is still good. And of course, it's slightly healthier that way. Again, you want to put down about 10 sheets. You can put up to 15, and depending on how deep your dish is, you could even do 20 sheets if you wanted. After between 10 and 20 sheets, I put down about, in a pan this size, which I'm working with a 9x13, and then I've got a larger casserole, like a regular size casserole pan. So in the larger one, I'm probably going to end up putting down a half of a cup of the spinach mixture and just spreading that out. And then I'm going to put down another 10 sheets of phyllo and another half a cup of the mixture. And I'm just going to keep repeating until I have about 3 to 4 layers of the spinach. To top it off, you want to put at least 10 to 15 last pieces of phyllo and butter. And don't forget, between each layer, you need to coat the phyllo with butter. As you maybe have guessed, one of our other top favorites for the holidays is, of course, baklava. I guess our favorite foods would probably be Italian and Greek here, especially for the holidays. Next up, potatoes. I have about 16 cups of potatoes, roughly. And to that, I'm going to add, and here's the trick. You want to melt all of this. You want to melt it before you put it in. That's the trick, you guys. I've got about a cup of cream. I've got a cup of butter. I've got a cup of cream cheese and about a cup of sour cream. All of these things are going to make the creamiest potatoes. And when you put that cream cheese and that sour cream in, you can actually make these a day in advance and reheat them, and they will still be really yummy and creamy. All right, so up next, I have my cranberry sauce, and this is a fun recipe, you guys. I use 1 package of cranberries, 1 cup of orange juice. You can omit this if you want, but I like to add about 1/3 of a cup of champagne to mine and a cup of raisins. You can add anise extract and clove. Those do strengthen the taste a bit, so you might want to omit those. They're optional. And then you want about 1/3 of a cup of either coconut sugar or brown rice syrup. You can also use brown sugar, of course. Once you get this mixed, simply simmer it for about an hour, keeping a really close eye on it. Voila, it's delicious. Guys, thank you again for being a member here, and I hope you have a very blessed and peaceful holiday season.